Hi there. I'm Chris. Thanks for clicking on this video. I hope that you can get something out of this video. Uh, I'd like to share an experience with you about how a change of perspective and what one person's can do to change a lot of people's lives. Um, the first, I think I need to give you a little bit of background before the story starts. In my early 20s, I ended up buying my first property. It was a brand new condo, and I bought it with my girlfriend at the time. I was at the moment renting a place with my best friend and my girlfriend, and I saw a brand new condo that was for sale. And so at the moment, uh, I everybody around me said I was crazy for buying a place because I was so young and I didn't even have a full-time job at the time. Uh, but what I did have is a history of always being able to pay my rent. And I also had a history of knowing that once I put my mind to something, I would do anything in my power to make sure that I followed through. So I ended up buying the condo and ended up breaking up with my girlfriend and learned from that. And fast forward now about 20 years, and I had ended up building my own house and had ended up using my equity from that house to buy other houses and had 4 houses at the time. And then I saw that there was a shopping complex that was in our town, in the downtown core, that was half filled. The downtown had really fallen apart because big box stores had come into the town at the far end of town. And so a lot of the business had moved to that side of town, and the downtown had kind of just atrophied. The only kind of businesses that were there at the moment were businesses like doctors and lawyers that people would just kind of come in and come out. And so talking with other people in the community were always complaining that there wasn't a place for people to go shopping and kind of hang out. And it was always my belief that in order for a community to be able to be vibrant, that you needed to be in a place that you could meet and spend time with each other and hang out so that you could build relationships and community. So I decided, instead of complaining about it, that I would use all the equity that I had acquired and purchase the downtown shopping center, which basically was the hub of the downtown. I ended up going in with a partnership instead of putting all of my eggs in one basket. And that's another story unto itself that I'll get into it later. But the story that I'd like to tell right now is there was one of the units that I ended up renting out. I had just over 3,000 square foot space that was available. And a couple came by who had a semi-load of new and used goods that they had lived down on the coast of Vancouver, and I'm in the interior in a small little town. And they had spent their time purchasing storage lockers, and so they had a whole huge mix of everything: clothing, tools, everything under the sun that you can think of. So I thought this would be a great thing for the community to have this business be one of the businesses that I brought to my shopping center. So I ended up renting it to the people, and then I gave them a couple weeks to kind of settle in and before I bothered them. So I had been passing by and seeing that the place started getting set up, and they were setting up clothes racks and all sorts of stuff. So after about a couple weeks, I thought I'd go to see how things were going. The doors hadn't opened yet, so I just wanted to check in, see how things were going. Knocked on the door. Didn't have any answer, but I could hear in the background that there was some noise, so I knocked again. Opened up the door, introduced myself, and said, "Hey, it's Chris. I'm just coming to see how things are going." And I had noticed that they had ended up dividing off the back end of this large open space. And so I went there. There was a door there. Knocked on the door. Opened up the door and turned to find out that they were living there with their pit bull. And it was apparent that they were on drugs. And so it wasn't a good situation. So I basically said, "Look, I'm sorry, this just isn't going to work out. You're not supposed to be living here. This isn't what our agreement was, so you're going to have to move." I said, "I'll give you a week because you've got so much stuff. I'll give you a week to arrange to get all of your stuff moved out, and then I'll come back in a week." So fast forward a week, I had left them alone. I knocked on the back door where they were. There was no answer. So I opened up the door, and what I found was absolute chaos. They had cherry-picked, grabbed a lot of the good stuff, but there was so much stuff in this 3,000 plus square foot place that they just abandoned everything. And not only did they abandon it, they threw everything around. They had dishes that they had smashed all over the place. The place was just a absolute shit show. And so I was sitting there just thinking, oh my God, I've got all of this stuff. Everything just looked like garbage at the moment because everything was just thrown all over the place. It just looked like absolute chaos, and I was just I can't even say, just my heart sunk. I was thinking, oh my God, it's going to cost me a fortune and a whole bunch of time, and neither didn't have either time or money. I had put everything out to try to help the community. The deals I was making were the deals so that the rent wasn't very much, so that I could give the opportunity for the new tenants to make it before, because that's the hardest time right at the beginning. So there wasn't any money coming in, so I was going to be stuck having to get rid of all of this stuff, and it was going to cost me a fortune and a whole bunch of time taking it all to the dump. So what I ended up doing is I just thought, okay, well, I might as well start cleaning up this mess. And so I slowly started picking up all the broken dishes, putting clothes on the clothes racks just to kind of get some order in the chaos. And as I was going through the place, what I realized was there was a whole bunch of great stuff. Because they had left in such a state and there was so much stuff, they had ended up leaving a whole bunch of amazing things. A lot of the clothes were brand new clothes, tags still on them. There was brand new orthopedic mattress still in the plastic covering, kitchen supplies, tools, just everything you can think of. So instead of feeling bad for myself, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go put a sign out on the front sidewalk, free, or make a donation. And I was hoping that I could get enough money that whatever was left over, I would be able to have enough money to be able to ship all the stuff to the dump and get rid of my problem. And in the meantime, helping people. So I ended up finding out, but not even by noon, I had gathered enough money in donations that I had more than enough. I could tell that just by how much stuff was going out, that I was going to have enough money. So I ended up, kept the sign there, but people would come in and say, well, how much do you want for this? And I'd say, well, you know what? If you can use it, you can take it. You'll be helping me. I said, if you want to give a donation, that's great, but don't feel pressured to. I said, I've got enough. I said, just taking the stuff is going to help me, and if it helps you, that's great. So during that time period, there was so many amazing stories. It took me about a week to get rid of everything. And so many lives were touched. And I had a family come in whose house had just burnt down, and they were able to get everything they needed to start up again. They had pots, pans, all the kids got the brand new clothing, they had toys. It was just incredible. And so every person that came in and was able to walk away with a smile on their face and stuff in their hands just filled me up. So I went from this place of feeling like utter despair and just why me, to getting the most amazing experiences. I can't tell you how many stories that I had of people who came in and then they couldn't believe that they were getting it for free. They said, "You really? I can have this?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. If it'll help you, just take it. I'm happy that you're happy." One particular story that was really, really touching is this fella came in and he was looking around for stuff and he had picked up a couple things, and then he got to the back of the space, and there was that big mattress that I had mentioned, the brand new orthopedic mattress. And he looked at it and he couldn't believe it was still in the package. He said, "Is this thing for sale?" And I said, no, it's not for sale. You can have it. It's for free." And he said, "Are you serious?" And I said, yeah, sure, you can have it. And he started crying. He said, "I broke my back and I've been out of work. And I haven't been able to sleep. My mattress is just horrible. And I haven't been able to sleep, and I've just been in pain every single night." And I said, "Well, it's all yours. You can have it." And he was so excited. He just crying. He said, "I can't believe that you're giving this to me." And then all of a sudden his face dropped. And he said, "Oh, I just live out of town and I have no way of getting it there." And I said, "You know what? No problem. I got a truck." I said, "If it didn't go, I'd be taking it to the dump anyway. So come around at the end of the day and I'll come drop it off for you." So I dropped it off for him, carried it into his house for him, and he was just ecstatic. So it was just story after story. And I've got one more story that I'd like to share too. It was with this old senior who is living in this retirement complex that was a few blocks away. And he actually showed up on my very first day that I had put the free sign out there. And he came walking by. His name was John. And he came in and we introduced ourselves and started talking. And he told me about his life story, life history. It was just great. He kept me company. He ended up coming back a couple other days to share more stories with me. But on this first day that he was there, he said, "You know what, this old folks home is just driving me crazy. These old ladies here, all they're doing is bickering and talking about who's dying and talking about their aches and pains." He goes, "Oh, they're all just driving me crazy, except this one lady, Gladys." He said, "Oh, she's a sweetheart. She's always happy, always makes my day so great." And he goes, "You know what, she's always wears this really nice jewelry all the time. And I was wondering if you had a little jewelry box or jewelry display that I could find for her." And I had, because I had laid everything out, I knew exactly, I had the piece that he was looking for. So I said, "Yeah, just a second, John." Went and grabbed it, brought it back to him, and he said, "Oh my God, that's just perfect. Gladys is gonna love this." And he had walked there with his walker. And so he said, "Oh, I'm not gonna be able to carry this with my walker," because it was a substantial jewelry display. And so I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll just lock up the door." I said, "Stuff's almost all gone. I'll walk down with you." And so we walked down with him, took it to the place for him, and he was so happy. A couple days later, comes back again and say, "Oh my Lord, Gladys was so happy. She's been beaming and beaming since I gave her that thing. She's got all of her jewelry displayed out. She's so happy." And I said, "Oh, that's great, John." So he spent the rest of the day with me, and away he went. So go fast forward to the end of the week. Nearly every single thing in the whole store was gone. There was only a couple things that weren't that good that I was just going to be throwing in the dump. It was less than a truckload, pickup truckload. But there was this one little stool, a little rocker stool that was like a foam padding on top, embroidered. And this thing was such in great shape, I just hated to throw it away. So I kept putting it out front all the time within the last couple of days, and nobody was taking it. People would look at it and then they decide not to take it. And so I was cleaning up and everything, and I took it to the back, and I was going to put it there to get thrown away. And yeah, because I finally gave up. I said, okay, it's not going to happen. So I locked the door. I was sweeping up everything, just the last little sweepings up. And I was just heading out the back and to go dump everything. And I heard a little knock on the door. And I turned around, and who was there? John. So went there, opened up the door and said, hey, John, how's it going? And he said, oh, it's going great, Chris. He goes, oh, I'm so happy for you. You got rid of everything, it looks like. And I told him, yeah, I got rid of everything except a small little half load of stuff. And I told him, you won't believe how many beautiful stories I've had along the way of how many people were happy and helped. And he said, oh, that's just great. I'm so glad that you did that. And he said, so you got rid of everything? He goes, oh, that's too bad. He said, I'm doing gardening at the place, and it's got these raised garden beds, and I'm having to be bent over all the time, and it's really hurting my back. And I was really hoping that you'd have like a little stool or something that I could sit on. And I said, oh my God, John. I said, I've been wanting to get rid of this thing and I couldn't get rid of it. So I went running back, grabbed the stool, and as I got to him, his eyes lit up and he said, oh my, that's perfect. He said, that's exactly what I need. And I said, well, John, I'm happy to give it to you. So I ended up walking down with John once again, locked up, went down, never saw John again after that. But the whole message here in this story is it's amazing what a change of perspective and one person's change in perspective, how much good that can do. So what I'd really like all of you to realize is that you can be that person. I'm not anybody special. I just like you. So when you're feeling down and things are bad, they appear bad, you can change that perspective and never underestimate how much good you can do. One person can change so many lives. I hope this little story has helped your life or could help your life, and I hope you all have a happy day. Take care. Bye-bye.